Good morning, everybody. This is Grant. We've got a great show for you today. How I failed school again. The major opportunities that I am completely missing. The harvest moon brings the equinox, and what's up with the woolly mammoth? We've got a great show for you today. As I've said, we're going to be covering how I failed school again and some advice that was hitting my heart this morning that I really think we need to talk about a little bit, and it's about the first kingdom. What is the first kingdom, and how are you going to wield the first kingdom for your success? And then, of course, we got other news. We're going to be talking just briefly about woolly mammoth, and we're also going to be talking about the harvest moon. Step outside right now. If you're watching this show, the sun hasn't come up yet. If you're in the Eastern Standard Time Zone or if west of there, step outside right now, and you can go see the harvest moon, and we'll talk a little bit about how that's bringing in the equinox. And last but not least, we're going to be talking about Jurassic woolly mammoths. Before all of that, we've got a morning cup of gratitude. Let me tell you something. This brightens my day. This is the most important moment of my day, and I don't know about you, but I am loving the moment I get to share what I'm grateful for. So what am I grateful for today? I'm grateful for several things. Number one, I'm grateful that I just got to share and sip my first cup of coffee with you. I love that. Number two, I am so grateful to Sam Raffitti, who shared with me a workout program that I've been doing for 2 weeks now, and I feel phenomenal. My nutrition is phenomenal. I've lost a ton of weight in just that sort of time. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling healthy. I'm working out twice a day. That's not 75 hard. It's something else me and Marissa are doing, which I'm loving. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for putting pants on today. Quite often I'm putting on shorts. It's been summer. It's been hot. It's going to be hot again today. But I just feel like I've got myself more put together. Do you have that? When you put on a certain outfit, a certain set of clothes, do you feel like more assertive? I know I do. So this morning I'm grateful that I listened to that intuition and I went ahead and put myself together. Yes, I still got the t-shirt. That's all right. That's all right. And I'm grateful for a phenomenally successful day. I also came across a great book that I'm grateful for, which I'll share a little bit about actually in today's show. What are you grateful for? If you don't express it, are you even feeling it? Maybe. But if you don't share it with somebody, what good is it doing you in your circles? So I recommend share with me. Tell me in the comments below or above or wherever you're watching this at. Tell me what you're most grateful for. That's what I got. Let's talk about other news. So in other news today, news that lifts you up that doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in the Capital District. If you're a fan of Hunger Games, you know what I'm talking about. What else is going on in the world that's keeping you, that's educating you, that'll lift you up, that's something more interesting than what everyone else is talking about, or at least more edifying? Let's talk about the harvest moon. So today is the harvest moon. Catch it now. You might even be able to catch a little bit of it tomorrow evening, but I went outside this morning. It's the last full moon of summer. Yes. So summer's coming to an end. The days are getting shorter. If you haven't noticed, the sun's coming up later and later. And we're approaching the autumn equinox. September 23rd is the autumn equinox. When Marissa and I were at Earthship School, we were keyed into what was going on with the equinoxes and the solstices. And we were really kind of enamored with how it contributed to our ability to see things from the cosmic view, that view that's bigger than all of the little things that we think we should be concerned about. Paying attention to the cosmos helps that. If you're a fan of the show, if you've watched the show, you know we've talked about this in the past, that equinoxes and solstices contribute to this cosmic view. So just being able to earmark these moments and enjoy them are super friendly and helpful. Lisa West says, my son comes home this weekend. We also won Best Microgreens Grower in the Southeast United States. Let's put that on your website. Come on now. Let me know. And you're off. And for those who don't know, Lisa is also a big lobbyist, if you will, encourager, support network for other microgreens. So that's powerful. Congratulations, Lisa. So the autumn equinox is coming around. Just so you know, an equinox is the moment geometric center of the sun is directly over the equator. So the planet kind of tilts on its axis, and that's how we get summer and winter and all the seasons. And the equinox is right at that moment when the sun's right over the equator. Now, just FYI, the sun can sometimes look like, or the moon can sometimes look like a supermoon. And sometimes it can look like it's a little far away. And that's just the difference between 226,000 miles away and 253,000 miles away. And so we're kind of right in between that on this particular cycle with the moon. But again, fun facts for you to keep you educated. Now remember, in this crazy age, when things want to pull you every different direction, I'm here to always relay things like space news, because it puts us in, it puts things into perspective, that all this busyness that we want to get sucked into, that the world wants us to get sucked into. When you look at it from that cosmic view, your blood, your heart rate goes down, your blood pressure goes down. It's calming. You can breathe a sigh of relief and realize, you know what? This planet's going to be fine. It was fine long before us. It'll be fine long after us. Everything's okay. And I should pause and enjoy some of these natural phenomena that go on, like the harvest moon. If you want to learn more about the harvest moon, here, let me click this link and share it right here in the chat. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Let me share it on this page. Ba-dum. Come on. Oh, where did it go? Hang on. If anyone knows, there we go. If anyone wants to volunteer and help me with the show, you just let me know. Oh, it's not letting me paste anything. Oh, well, I digress. So in other news today, the Jurassic woolly world. Yes, we have finally come into the age that the 90s predicted. I wish we could only come into the age that the 50s predicted, when we were going to have jetpacks. But I'll put up with cloning and growing a woolly mammoth. Let's talk about that. So we have successfully completely sequenced the genome of a woolly mammoth. These things did exist for those who are deniers of prehistoric times, which there are plenty of them. There's flat earthers, there's people that deny or believe in short earth only. I'm here to tell you and affirm that we have sequenced the entire DNA of the woolly mammoth. It really did exist. And now technology has come up that we can actually incubate these things, and with genetic manipulation actually give birth to a new woolly mammoth. And so there's a lot of discussion right now. In fact, so much discussion that the Woolly Mammoth Resurrection Project has received $15 million to continue to explore the issue. Now, this covers a lot of things. One of the things are the potential benefits. The potential benefits being, could it restore, or help at least restore, some of the tundra? We're losing tundra left and right for those who need to be reminded that climate change is happening. We do as much as we can to preserve some of these ecosystems, or at least to slow down their human-affected change. Yes, we all know climate change is inevitable, whether or not humans were affecting it, but also humans do affect climate change in a huge way. And so if we can help offset our impact, we will. And in this particular project, they're wondering, in some ways, could the woolly mammoth help preserve some of this tundra and help preserve the endangered Asian elephant. An Asian elephant is the closest living cousin to the woolly mammoth, and they believe that it might be able to help preserve that endangered species. Now, here's the other side. That $15 million also goes to explore the negative side effects. And the negative side effects could simply be the ethical issues. Should we ethically be actually recreating animals that have long since passed? Listen, Jurassic Park aside, in all different 6 versions, 7 versions, how many movies? We got as many Jurassic movies as we have Fast and Furious movies, I feel like. And each one has a different conjecture on what we should be doing as it comes to resurrecting ancient animals. But the jury is out for me. I don't know. I'm curious if we should go to space. We weren't meant to go to space. We're in space. We weren't meant to build buildings. We built buildings. Humans do all kinds of things, some of them good, some of them not so good. I'm open to any argument. So let's see here if we can. Boom. There we go. There is the Woolly Mammoth Resurrection Project. There's the link in the footer if you want. You can see a thumbnail. at least of a mock-up of what we know a woolly mammoth looks like. Come on now, who knows what it would really look like, and if its tusks would be that long, and if its fur would be that long. But it would definitely be an interesting endeavor. Now, let's talk about the lesson for the day, the first kingdom, how I failed out of school again, and why that's good, why that's okay, and what it taught me about the opportunities I'm missing and the opportunities I shouldn't be missing. Let's talk about that with today's story. So I semi-low-key recently re-enrolled in school. I do want to finish my advanced psychology degree and some anthropology work. I do eventually want to be positioned when I've got plenty of gray hair to teach and instruct at the college level. I think that would be a skill for me, and it would be a way for me to contribute and participate in society and communities I find myself living at in the future. So I applied to an online university. It was affordable. I put it together. And I just said to myself, I'm going to sign up for one class. I'm going to finish my BA in business just so I can get it done. I've got my AA underneath me, and it shouldn't take much. And I've done so much when it comes to business. Obviously, this should be a breeze. And as I found out, I did my research, did my homework. The courses are about 5 weeks long, 6 weeks long. A little bit of reading, a little bit of coursework, a little bit of paper writing. I can do all that. I write all the time anyway. I can accelerate my reading. I can fit that into my life. And then finally testing. I test really well. And then there's group participation, but I'm on social media all the time. I could participate. This should be a breeze. The first day the class opened, I sat down and opened up my reading assignment. And I read for an hour. And I read for 2 hours. And I started flipping ahead, getting fidgety, getting Mr. ADD and going, what is going on? My social feeds are moving along. My cryptocurrencies, I'm missing windows to invest in my cryptocurrencies. I'm getting emails from my side projects. Lisa Welsh says, adult accelerated college can be tough. 100%. This is 100% difficult for me. I'm super challenged with this. So the 2 hours goes by and I said, I can't do this much reading. I can't sit here and watch all of my feeds, all of my emails, all of my inboxes, all of the side hustle projects that I'm very confident in, that I had intuition on, that I have teams for. There's my main thing, which is our main business, Spark Sites. There's our partnership with Spark Billing Services. There's so much else going on. And I'm reading about 1935 management, which we still do today. And I already know that 1935 management isn't what we do today. They said that entrepreneurship, they defined entrepreneurship as finding market opportunities and acting on them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible education. This isn't an accurate portrayal of what's going on in real life. And then my conscience told me, well, can't you just stick it out? Can't you just test and tell them what they want to hear? And I thought to myself, well, that's why I got out of college in the first place and got into business, so that I could engage with the real world and engage with things that are immediately applicable. So I let my deadlines pass for 1 week, and I said, I'll get it done on the weekend when I've got more time. When I had more time on the weekend, I was getting my workouts in, and I was getting my painting in and stuff that truly edifies me, and getting reading I cared about in. Lisa Welsh, she adds, I never read a book my whole master's degree. It's all about writing the papers. Boom. I'm going to have to follow Lisa Welsh. Lisa Welsh is more educated than I am. This sister has done it. Respect to you, Lisa Welsh. I probably need to do that, man. I probably need to do what you did. Tell me what school you went to, and I'll totally check it out. So all the time, I'm reading this book at a snail's pace. And all the time, I am noticing that there's a particular project I'm working on, sidebar, and it's just now, I believe, me and Lisa Welsh on right now at the moment, but for those who watch this later, I'm launching a Patreon account, and that Patreon account will show absolutely transparently to the hilt how me and Marissa are building our empire, how we're making money, the opportunities we're running on. We'll also be touching on our small business, but we'll also be touching on our fitness and health and our investments and our experiments, both in our marriage and in our household, but also externally with being missionaries. We're going to actually transparently cover all this in an effort to help people redefine wealth and success so that they can live a fuller life. We're going to be launching that Patreon account. All this is going through my head while I'm trying to sit for the third hour of reading on week 1, and I've only got one class, and some people are doing multiple classes at a time. So in the back of my mind, I convinced myself I would do it on Saturday. Didn't do it on Saturday. Then I procrastinated and thought, well, I'll do it all this week. I didn't touch it this week. In the back of my mind, I knew that I knew that I knew. I knew that I knew that I knew that I was procrastinating to the point where I wouldn't get it done. Lisa Welsh contributes, Concordia University, Wisconsin. It's private, so expensive, like $150K. She says, just do it. I should definitely just do it. And as I realign, and I did learn some things. One of the things I learned is that I probably should do this. If I'm going to do this, I should probably do this for the topics I truly care about so that the reading doesn't bother me but contributes. But here's the other lesson I learned. There's way too many things to be involved with. I do believe in NFTs and cryptocurrency as a future, and I do believe I am going to be involved. I have 2 projects I'm working on to be involved, 3 actually. But those things are pulling your attention. Gary Vaynerchuk is pulling your attention. Please get involved. Mark Cuban is saying get involved. Then there's the whole news headline about Gabriela Pulido and what's happened to her, and did they find the body? Did they not find the body? What happened to her boyfriend? What's happening in the Capital District? The Met Gala ridiculousness. Can you even make an impact in the world, and should you try? What's going to happen if life passes you by? Well, just keep steady, keep on, keeping on. So we think with all this busyness, we tell ourselves we can just keep on, keeping on, and we'll be okay. Life is changing, and it's changing too quickly for us to actually keep up with. So just keep on with the way things are, and we'll get through. Get through to where? Get through to when? Well, what's worse is that as these things are changing fast in your business, in your organization, in your projects, the things you thought you could rely on to keep on keeping on are being taken away. Employees are leaving. They're calling it ghosting, coasting. Hey, I'm going to go to lunch and just not show up. I talked to another guy in the gym. He works at Rooms to Go. And he said, dude, I had a guy go on a smoke break this week and just didn't come back. It's happening all the time. There's no sense of loyalty. Prices are changing. The public is caring about one thing one day and the next thing the next. It's so hard to know what to market to. All this and more can put your position of keeping on. Just hold steady. Maybe I won't get involved in all the craziness. Maybe I'll just keep doing the same old thing. As all these things are changing, even though that might be your safety net, you have to realize you can't keep doing things the way you've been doing them. You have to change. And that's causing a crisis of direction in people. So what are you going to do? Where's your stability at? How do you know what to do next? How do you know what to ignore? You know, the older and more mature we get, the more bandwidth we have, the more tools we have to keep up with things. Why? Because we want to be better for our market, better for our people. But where do you go for a sense of centeredness? Where do you go for a sense of knowing if this is the right decision? Where do you go to garner the will to actually filter out and say, you know what? I know a lot about this thing, but I'm actually going to put it to the side and say no. You see, as I was failing through school, at least this particular class, and being toying with all of these opportunities, I realized I was spending so much time trying to keep pace that I was waning the ability to keep in touch. You heard that here first. I like that quotable. I've been working so hard at keeping pace, I've lacked the ability to keep in touch. Keep in touch with what? What I call the first kingdom. The first kingdom. The first kingdom, transparently, is the kingdom of your mind. You see, everything going on right now is fighting. They call it the attention economy for a reason. They want your attention. They will spend billions of dollars to figure out ways to obtain your attention. It's called the attention economy. The thing about the attention economy is it wants you to think shallow. It wants you to think from your limbic brain. It wants you to make knee-jerk reactions and emotional responses. I am not against social media in the least. Well, in the least, I am. But I'm not against social media. I'm not against technologies. No way. There's a lot of good technology out there. But I am against us giving in and thinking in the way they want us to think. If you can stay in control of it, it can't control you. Use it as a tool. It doesn't use you as a tool. And there are ways to do that. You must take control of the first kingdom. The first kingdom is the kingdom of your mind. There's plenty of materials how to do this. But just like me in school, the pace is different. However, many of the answers to your pressing questions, they're in your mind. What should I do? You have access to that in the first kingdom. Whether you call it your soul or your spirit, whether you call it your intuition, whether you call it the groupthink, whether you call it the hive mind, whether you call it your conscience, the answers to what you should do. I'm not talking about the technical answers. You can't suddenly, sometimes you can if you're really dialed in. If your antenna is really high up, you might be able to understand what's going on with a chemical equation, though you've never been a chemist before. But I'm not talking about that necessarily. I'm talking about knowing what you should be doing. I'm talking about knowing what you should be focused on. Keeping in touch with the first kingdom. All of these things are within you if you'll stop thinking shallowly and start thinking deeply. The intuition you need to pick a direction in your life and to be confident that, oh man, I know that all this is going on with this couple, Gabriella Perito and her boyfriend. All this drama is going on. It's the headlines. Am I going to miss something? You'll have the intuition to know, you know what, I can let that news cycle slide. I've got to focus on my business or my clients. Your will and discipline to not get sucked into the dramas of the Met Gallery and who won the thinnest, sheerest skirt. Why do you care? We can't help but get sucked in when we're thinking from a shallow place in our mind. I don't know, it could be sexy. That's the limbic brain. But the will and discipline to think, that's not how I'm going to contribute to the world. And to realign with your goals and your vision, that's all in the first kingdom, the kingdom of your mind. Why do we call it the first kingdom? There are many kingdoms for you to dominate. There's the kingdom of fitness and health, healthy, happy relationships, meaningful work, spirituality. There are plenty of other kingdoms. There's the kingdom of your industry. There's the kingdom of your city. There's plenty for you to rule over as a benevolent ruler, to offer your services and serve as a sage or as a contributor to that community. There are many kingdoms, but the first kingdom is the internal kingdom, the kingdom of your mind. You know, the world wants you to think so shallowly. Did you know that there are 5 levels of agreed upon brainwave activity where entire worlds of positivity, direction, certainty, ideas, creativity, solutions, imagination, positive, useful, helpful imaginations to imagine better relationships, imagine better health. These things can be pulled out of the ether of these brainwave states and into a conscious world where you start to make decisions for them. This is what we call law of attraction. It's when you ingrain it so deeply into a deeper wavelength that you bring out these decision-making capacities, the will, the intuition, to make these decisions on a moment-by-moment basis to be that person. One of them is called the alpha state. It's when you make about 7 to 14 brain pulses per minute. It's a very slow state, but you're still awake, but you're in another place, and it's a disembodied place. But you can actually work on that. We could talk about that. These resources are already available to you. If I had been thinking along this way and taking the time to control my mind, maybe I would have stuck it out for this class and not failed out of this class yet again. I can't tell you how many times I failed out of school because I went into it in the wrong paradigm. Not a bad plan, not bad resources, just a bad state of mind. So let me give you 4 quick books I recommend. 4 quick books I absolutely recommend you take on, you pick up if you don't have already, and read through them, as they can help you nurture your relationship to keep in touch with the first kingdom. Here's number 1. You probably heard me say it once. You've heard me say it 1,000 times. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Boom. There's that one. The second one is Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. I love Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. He basically talks about the cause and effect of the mind. Now, I've talked forever about Think and Grow Rich, so I won't talk about it again. I could do a whole series. We could do a whole book study together on Think and Grow Rich. Psycho-cybernetics is a little different. It's the mechanisms of, it's almost kind of like cognitive behavioral therapy as it's codified. And it's a little outdated. A lot of the terminologies are outdated, but the mechanisms of the mind are powerful. The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. Quite often, the campiness of this title has people dismiss it. Believe it or not, Norman Vincent Peale was a minister, and he was actually under a lot of hate from his parishioners, from his denomination, about the fact that he was all about positive thinking. They said, no, it's all spiritual. It's all spiritual. And he said, well, we were created this way to use positive thinking. He was a minister of the gospel, affected my life. And he and Think and Grow Rich agree on a lot of materials. Last but not least, this one's absolutely rocking my socks right now. This one went through Silicon Valley in the early 2000s. Specifically with the Google guys and a lot of them, the Silva method of mind control. And it's the mind control of the self. And it's something I was working on this morning. And this is the guy who actually pioneered alpha wavelengths in the modern era with he actually invented machinery. And some people use the term clairvoyance, and he's not about that. It's following intuition to lead into what is a higher than normal serendipitous engagement, Silva method of mind control. But really, it's about going into deep alpha state, programming your subconscious mind intentionally, and then bringing that out into the standard wavelength state so that you go through life making decisions and having the willpower, and maybe not even the willpower, but just the unconscious gravitation towards the decisions that will lead you to what you're programming in your alpha state. And it's all stuff you do on yourself, for yourself. I highly recommend each of these books. They're in the comments. Psycho-Cybernetics, Think and Grow Rich, The Power of Positive Thinking, and The Silva Method of Mind Control. And there's other books by Silva. I highly recommend it. All this to encourage you on a Monday. You see, on a Monday, I am faced with more responsibilities than I have time for. Do you feel that way? You've got more responsibilities, more things. You'd like to spend more hours with your kids. You'd like to spend more hours on your health. You'd like to spend even more hours on your career, not because you live to work, but because you actually could see yourself contributing in a significant way to your industry. You actually want to spend more hours than you have on your spirituality, in your prayer, in your Bible reading, your book study, your soul work, your meditation. More desires than you have time in a day to do. And it reminds me of that Martin Luther King Jr. quote I hear, and I've said several times, and it's along the lines of, oh, you have more overwhelming work than you know what to do with, and you think you should cut your prayer time of an hour a day short? That's probably a good sign you need about 2 hours of prayer. That's what I'm reminded of and convicted of, that as I let this class pass me by, I learned from that. I don't regret it. I learned something. And what I learned was that, you know what? It's time for me to apply. It's time for me to apply what I'm teaching. Lisa Welsh says, I got to plant 288 passion flowers, more than she has time to do, but she's going to do it because of a lot of people that probably underestimate people like Lisa Welsh. She's highly educated. She's got her master's degree. She's got a successful business. She's done so much in the area of business and investing and family raising and relationship building that she's going to go out here and do this. This is more work than she can fit in a day, but she's going to. She's going to find a way. And it's not just hustle harder. That's not what I'm saying. It's pausing long enough to flush the dross. Go look up the word dross. It's a word you don't hear often in our vernacular. Look up the word vernacular. It's a word you don't often hear in our vernacular. Welcome to Education Mondays. And realize that you need to slow down to get ahead. Now, hear me on this. I didn't say slow down to speed up. Everyone expects you to say that. I said slow down to get ahead, to jump ahead. Now, get ahead doesn't mean I'm going to grind and I'm going to get ahead of everyone else. No, you're going to slow down to leap ahead. Because the things that never go out of style, the opportunities, if you will, that will never be time wasted are the opportunities of honing your mind, of honing your ability to take your right brain and imagine and inject that into your left brain and your left brain's ability to do. The ability to think clearly when all the bramble briar patch of media, or as my friend Brock says, synthetic media, is starting to attack every synapses you have. The only way to intuit it, to rise above it. A little bit of things like the cosmic view, a little bit of practices like meditation, but summarized as taking back the first kingdom. Let me encourage you. You can live a life where you have absolute clarity. You can live a life where you know exactly what to do. You can live a life where you can conjure up the words to communicate to the relationships that mean the most, the importance of setting a direction that sets you apart from most people, not getting sucked into the Met Gala and headline news, not getting sucked into all these short-term, short-sighted missions that they want you to get involved in. Instead, you'll be able to access the first kingdom to get clarity on your overarching mission and the impact you want to make in the world. I encourage you for that today. The answer is not unplugging and running away from everything. That's a crutch of sorts. It can help. Sometimes you need to withdraw to the woods or to the beach. Sometimes you need to withdraw to your quiet time. But you do that to be a warrior of the mind, to be ready to defend and help those closest to you who haven't yet accessed that for themselves. I encourage you on this Monday. And listen, remember, pay attention, share today's video with someone who might need it. Remember that soon we'll be launching our Patreon. We're shaping things right now. It'll be our place where we get absolutely transparent with you. We'll absolutely share with you how we've made our investments, some of the experiments we've learned and failed with, some of the experience we learned and got a little bit ahead with, some of the principles we've gained. A lot of you guys have been asking for coaching, and we just can't get to everyone at once. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this into a Patreon account where you can just get access to the best of the best training. There'll be one tier where you can get access to our time and leverage it. But we'll be giving you our spreadsheets on how we calculate real estate deals. We'll be giving you our financial documents and just showing you as we make progress, as we move ahead, as we move backwards. We'll get transparent with that. You guys will also see our trades. You'll see what kind of trades I'm making in crypto and in stocks and why. Not trading advice. It's just transparency on what we're doing. We'll also share with you when we make private investments and why we make those private investments. We'll share with you the wins and failures of building businesses and partnering. So if that sounds appealing to you, keep checking us at stateofthespark.com. We're going to probably move out of the Facebook Goals and Gratitude group. You just need to know that. But for now, we're going to still be posting updates there. But I really encourage you to pay attention for that. Share today's show with someone who needs to be encouraged on taking control of their mind. I love you guys. And remember, ignite lives of explosive significance, starting with your own today.